Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. Today we are going to talk about the top 10 oil producing country in the world in 2022. If you are new to our channel, please don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. So, let's get started. Number 10, Kuwait. 2,940,000 barrels per day. Kuwait's oil production is responsible for more than 60% of its GDP, and more than 95% of its export revenue. Given the revenue and subsequent progress achieved by the sales of oranges, Kuwait's oil producers plan to boost production levels to 4 million BPD in 2020, but growth has slowed down due to the global pandemic. This, by the change in plant score, is one of the top 10 producing countries whose output has been on appeal for a while now. In 2016, production reached 3,072,000 BPD, and then dropped to 2,825,000 BPD in 2017. In the year 2018, the country made a slight recovery, producing 2,870,000 BPD, and was back to over 2,940,000 BPD in 2019. Because we're so dependent on oil production to maintain our economic standing, it may need to find another industry to post revenue. If not, a very fragile system might cripple the economy when it drops. Number 9, Iran. They ran a slush crude oil production to its lowest level in the 4 decades of storage tanks and vessels, almost full due to a drop in exports. This large introduction has led to a decrease from 4,471,000 BPD in 2018 to 3,190,000 BPD. According to the EIA, Iran holds the world's 4th largest proven oil reserves, and the world's 2nd largest natural gas reserves. Despite the country's abundance in reserves, Iran's oil production has been substantially foreign in recent years, and natural gas production growth has been slower than expected. Changes in economic conditions have caused Iran to lower its oil revenue expectations from 29% of GDP in 2018 to just 9% for 2020. However, it remains committed to IT investments and to injecting over $500 billion into the sector by 2025. Number 8, Brazil. Oil production in Brazil has been on an overall increasing trend since 2008, when it amounted to less than 2 million barrels per day. Since then, production has increased by nearly 53%, reaching an average of 2.8 million barrels per day last year versus our production jumping dramatically from 3,428,000 BPD in 2018 to 3,678,000 BPD. The recent surge in production and exports is said to be the result of years of large investments by states run by Petróleo Brasileiro, or Petrobras. Unfortunately, as most oil-producing countries' presence or exports have decreased in recent months due to the lower global demand, the country holds less than 1% of the world's oil reserves, enough to last around 15 years. Number 7, United Arab Emirates. The United Arab Emirates is an OPEC member, and has ranked amongst the top 10 producing countries for decades. According to the UAE State of Energy Report of 2019, the UAE has an estimated 98 billion barrels of oil reserves in 2018. It's all a small decrease in production from the previous years. 3 million sold a night at 1,000 VPD. However, it appears that output has stabilized, and is back to formula and 10,000 BPD. The country holds the world's 7th largest proven oil reserves at 97.8 billion barrels. According to the UAE State of Energy Reports, 2010, with most of those reserves kept in Abu Dhabi, the other 6 Emirates combined account for just 6% of the country's total reserves. Number 6, Iraq. 4,740,000 barrels per day in the year 2017. Despite increasing its output, Iraq got bombed from the 6th place by Iran on the top 10 power-producing countries list output in 2018. Have the nation regain its spot position, the Middle Eastern country marginally increased or production from 4,616,000 BPD in 2018 to 4 million similar and 40,000 PPT in 2019. It holds the world's 5th largest proven oil reserves at 144 billion barrels, representing nearly 18% of the reserves in the Middle East, and almost 9% of global reserves. The most important or viewed in Iraq currently is the sovereign field of Romania, which accounts for about 1.6 million barrels per day on large sovereign field including ours by missiles, and West Qunur. Number 5, China. 4,890,000 barrels per day, China has one of the world's largest strategic oil reserves, which is stockpiles of crude oil held by countries privately for national security during the energy crisis. China's annual output increased in 2019, going up to 4,890,000 BPD from Formula One Summit and 79,000 BPD in 2018. China is the world's second largest consumer of oil and moves from being the second largest net importer of oil to the largest in 2014. Of the top 10 oil-producing countries, China is the world's most popular country, and as a rapidly growing economy, factors have driven its high overall energy demand. This is why the impact of the coronavirus on demand from China could have a significant effect on the market. The EIA estimates that China's domestic petroleum and earth liquids consumption averaged 13.9 million BPD in Q1 2020, a decline of 0.6 million PPT from the 2019 annual average, primarily as a result of the Chinese government's containment measures related to the coronavirus outbreak. Number 4, Canada. 5,500,000 barrels per day. Canada has been on a surge in oil production from the production of 3.5 million barrels a day in 2013 to 5.5 million ppd in 2019, surpassing 2018 5 million, total of 95,000 barrels per day. Nearly all of Canada's foreign oil reserves are located in Alberta, and according to the province government, net of 7% of oil reserves are in the form of oil sands. Energy exports to the US account for the vast majority of Canada's total energy exports. However, because of economic and political considerations, Canada is developing ways to diversify trading partners, especially by expanding ties with emerging markets in Asia. Canada is slowly climbing the list of leading oil producers from number 5 to number 4. Production is set to increase by more than 120% by 2050, surpassing the growth rate of all non-OECD countries. Thought a drastic increase in production may be expensive. As most of Canada's oil, about 90%, comes from oil sands. The country has access to technology to bring the cost down. Further plans for the future include expansion to trade agreements, which are expected to be concluded by December 2022. Number 3, Russia. 11,490,000 barrels per day. Russian oil output has been increasingly steady over the years, growing from 11,401,000 BPD in 2018 to 11,490,000 BPD as of last year. Despite coming in third, Russia is the world's largest producer of crude oil, and the second largest producer of dry natural gas according to the EIA. Most of Russia's reserves are located in West Siberia, between the Ural Mountains and the Central Siberian Plateau, as well as in the Orush-Volga region extending into the Caspian Sea. Overall production growth between 2018 and 2019 was less than 1% as OPEC and large Russian oil producers agreed to stand on production due to lower oil prices. Then in early 2020, COVID-19 curves output by up to 20% as of June 2020. Russia is the fifth largest consumer of oil, consuming up to 3.31 billion ppd. And that accounts for about 4% of the world's total. Number 2, Saudi Arabia. 11,810,000 barrels per day. Saudi Arabia possesses roughly 18% of the world's proven petroleum reserves, and is ranked as the largest exporter of petroleum. As a result of this, the oil and gas sector accounts for about 50% of its GDP, and about 85% of export earnings. Saudi Arabia's outputs came in at 12,419,000 BPD in 2018, and declines to 11,810,000 in 2019. In 2020, Saudi Arabia plays a key role as the decision to cut oil output, and the country is now set to cut production by 3.3 million barrels a day from its current output levels to meet the conditions of the deal signed with other OPEC members and allies. Number 1, United States. 19,510,000 barrels per day. It's the number 1 producer, producing a whopping 19.51 million barrels per day in the United States of America. It produced the most oil in 2019, with output increasing from 17,886,000 BPD in 2018 to 19,010,000 BPD. The U.S. has been described as a swing producer because production fluctuates alongside market prices. Oil is produced in 32 states and in U.S. coastal waters, the majority of which, 41%, trade in Texas. One of the main reasons why the U.S. is a leader in oil production is because it was the first country to adopt new methods of drilling. In addition to being a major oil producer, the U.S. is a big consumer of oil. In 2019, the U.S. took in a total of 7.47 billion barrels, which would in products, which is an average of 20.46 million BPD. That's all, guys. Where do you want to travel on your next vacation? Let us know in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more updates. Thanks for watching.